I'm sorry if I keep looking at myself instead of actually the camera, but I'm not used to doing this. I don't do this very much anymore. But I went on a trip recently, so we're gonna do it because I have a lot to talk about. So I have a friend. This friend's name is Ashley. She is very wonderful. She's actually my neighbor. I can walk to her house. It's very, very nice. We became friends about 6 months ago. We both like to read. Anyway, I told her to read a book. I told her to read More Than This by Patrick Ness. I didn't make her read it. I was just like, hey, if you need something to read and if you're bored or you don't know what to read next, you should totally read More Than This by Patrick Ness because it's like my favorite book and it's great and I love Patrick Ness's writing and he's my favorite author, so, you know, you can give it a shot if you'd like to. And so she was like, yeah, sure. She read it, she enjoyed it. She decided out of curiosity to see if Patrick Ness was doing any tours or he was traveling anywhere, maybe nearby. And so she looked it up and we came across something called Yallfest. Now, Yallfest is basically a giant book festival where over 70 authors, they've just volunteered to come do free book signings. And they also do panels and things that you have to pay to see some of them, but not all of them. Like, you have to pay to see the keynotes, but the actual panels and things, those are actually free, which is very, very cool. Everything's free. You just bring your own books. Bring your own books. If you want to go to a keynote, buy a ticket to the keynote, which is like $10. It's amazing, great. And it all happens at this place in Charleston, South Carolina called Blue Bicycle Books and around the surrounding area. My friend found out about this 2 weeks before it was actually going to happen, and she was like, hey, Patrick Ness is going to be here. Also, that lady that you like, the Six of Crows lady, Leigh Bardugo, she's going to be there too, and a bunch of other authors that we also enjoy. I was like, oh, that's really neat. So, next thing I knew, we were buying tickets to ride a Greyhound down to Yallfest, and we went, and it was great. And I'm going to talk about it because it was like one of the best experiences of my entire life, and there's just so much to say. Basically, the way that Yallfest is split up is they have Friday, which is called a Yall Crawl, and they have a couple other events, but me and my friend, we were just going to the Yall Crawl. And the Yall Crawl basically is some authors do extra signings because all the authors, the big day of Yallfest is on Saturday. But the Yall Crawl is where authors decide to do extra signings. And so the day was planned out. We knew exactly what we were doing. And so we went and we waited in line in front of Blue Bicycle Books for the Patrick Ness signing. And another thing you need to know about Yallfest is that it's usually 3 books per author, per person. So you can only bring 3 books for the one author, unless you want to go through his line again or whatever. And I really wanted to get More Than This signed. Release, because that was his latest one. I really wanted to get the Chaos Walking trilogy signed, but again, it's 3 books per person, so I took the knife of never letting go. And Ashley, she only had 1 book for Patrick Ness. She only had More Than This, so she offered to take my other 2 in the Chaos Walking trilogy, which is very, very nice of her and very, very cool. So, she has 2 of mine, and then I have all of mine, she has hers. Basically, very over-explained. And another thing about Yallfest is what they do is they go through the line and they'll give you a little sticky note. And you're supposed to put the sticky note on the title page. I would say you can put it on any page that you want, but they told us you could put it on any page that you want, but then they went through and sometimes the authors would choose which page, and sometimes the little volunteers, they'd come over and they'd move your sticky note to the title page. So usually they sign the title page. That's actually what happened to me at the Victoria Aveyard signing. Is the lady, she came up to me and she told me, here's a sticky note, you can put it on whatever page you want signed. And so I put it on one of the pages and she was like, no, it has to be the title page. She was just waiting to see if I'd make the right decision. I did not. If you want it personalized, you can write your name on it. And that way they know how to spell your name, and it's actually really, really cool and very, very helpful. And so I put, A-I-D-A-N, Aiden, on all 3 of mine, and also on the other 2 that Ashley had for me. And we stood in line, we waited for Patrick. While we were in line, actually, we met this woman, her name was Hoppy, and she was actually there standing in line for her granddaughter who was at the Victoria Aveyard signing, which was really, really nice. It was really, really great. We actually got to see her the next day, too, but we talked to her for a bit, and then all of a sudden, we were standing in line, and we felt like a little push. And I was like, oh, okay, that's weird. I looked and it was him. It was Patrick Ness. He was just right there. Ashley, she didn't really know what he looked like, and Hoppy didn't really know what he looked like either. And I was like, it's him, he's there. He bumped into us. Patrick Ness bumped into us. And so my friend and I, we were someone at the front of the line, and she looked at me and she saw that I was excited and I was basically vibrating, and she was like, do you want to go first? I was like, yes, please. I didn't really expect the signings to be the way that they were, because I was expecting it to be like, sign your books very, very quickly, and now you gotta go, there's no time to talk, you gotta go, we gotta get through as many people as possible. But it was very relaxed, and I wasn't really prepared for that, because as soon as I saw Patrick, I just started blurting out, oh my gosh, I love your books, you're like my favorite author, you wrote my favorite book more than this is my favorite book, thank you so much for writing it. And once I realized it was a more relaxed sort of thing instead of a rushed thing, I was like, okay, I can relax a little, and I just kind of listened to him talk a little, and he was very, very nice, very, very cool. And so he signed my books and everything, and I was like, thank you. And Ashley had been filming him signing my books for me, which was nice, and so she wanted me to do the same, so I started to film him signing her book as well as both of mine, and I actually have a little clip of it. But what happened is he signed her book, and then he went through and he was looking at her pages, and he was, listening to her talk while doing it, and he removed the little sticky note that had my name on it for my other 2 books, and he like set it down, and he went to sign it, and he looked back and he saw the name, and he just kind of like held it up and looked at me. It was like, Hayden. I was like, yeah. Went through the Patrick Ness line. Amazing, great. And then I wanted to go through the Victoria Aveyard line, because I haven't read all her books, but I did read Red Queen, and I really, really liked it, and I was like, oh my gosh, she's gonna be there, This is a great opportunity to get to see her and meet her. And so I went and I stood in her line, and it was a close call a little bit, because when the volunteer was coming through, she told me that Victoria was only going to be signing about 250 people that day, and I was the 244th, and so I was like, oh my gosh. So I went through the line, and I got up to Victoria, and I was like, oh, hi, and I was a lot more relaxed with her. I was able to actually talk to her more, and she was very, very nice, very pretty, very, 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 very nice, very, very pretty. She's a lot prettier in person. And she signed my book for me, and I thought, okay, wow, that went really, really smoothly. And I went to turn, and she's signing at a table with a tablecloth over it, and I went to turn, and I tripped over the end of the tablecloth. I made her laugh, so that's good. I didn't like trip, fall on my face, but I like tripped and stumbled and caught myself. But I did make her laugh, so I'm pretty proud of it, actually. So after Victoria Aveyard, my friend Ashley, she was still in the Laini Taylor line, and she was like, I'm so close to the front, I don't want to get out of line, because I also really want to meet Laini Taylor, but Margaret Stoll was her priority. And so I was like, okay, I'll go get a spot at Margaret Stoll for you, so that way, after you're done with Laini, you can just run straight to the Charleston Museum and come meet her. And she was like, okay. So I went to the Charleston Museum, and waited in line, the Margaret Stoll line. I was like, wow, this is kind of short. And next thing I knew, I was just inside the Charleston Museum. Margaret Stoll was right there. I'm not very familiar with Margaret Stoll. I know she wrote Beautiful Creatures with Kami Garcia. I know about her work, but I've never read any of her work. I tried letting people pass me and go ahead of me to get, their books signed, and eventually I got up to the front and there was no one left behind me, and I was like, hey, I'm sorry, I don't have any books for you. My friend Ashley, she absolutely loves you, and she's at Laini Taylor signing right now, and she's very, very close to the front. She's like 4 people away from Laini, so I'm really sorry, I don't have anything for you, but she's on her way. She's gonna run straight here right after. And Margaret, she's very cool about it. She was like, oh yeah, I love Laini, she's so nice, and all these different things. What she did is at the tables they have like these little like nameplates. They aren't really plaques, but it's like a nice little cardboard material sort of thing, you know what I mean? You know what I mean. There's always these volunteers that stand by the authors in case they need anything, in case there's a problem with the fan, or also sometimes they'll help take pictures. She looked over at her volunteer and she was like, she held a little nameplate thing, and she's like, we're not gonna need the skin, are we? And he was like, I don't know, and he shrugged. And so Margaret, she signed her name on it, and she was like, how do you spell your friend's name? And I was like, oh, it's A-S-H-L-E-I. And she signed it, and with little hugs and kisses on it, and she gave me the name tag, and she was like, oh, you can give that to your friend. And then she also had her volunteer take a picture of me and her together holding up the nameplate to show to her friend, and she was like, you can grab that off of Twitter and show it to her. And I was like, oh, that's really cool, thank you. And then also, Margaret still asked to take a picture with me because of my hair, because she said that she had, I think it was, I don't remember, it was some sort of family member, and she was like, they would love your hair, and so she asked to take a picture with me with my hair, and I was like, cool. And so, you know, I think Margaret stole, you know, and I was you know, thank you. And I left, because she had to go, and I was walking out, and I called Ashley, and I was like, well, Margaret's actually done with her signing, and she's already left, but, she gave me something for you, and you're gonna absolutely love it. And she was like, really? And so, I went to where the Lady Taylor signing was happening, and I waited for Ashley, and by the time I got there, she was coming back from after seeing Lady Taylor, and she came up to me, and I handed her this little nameplate, and she was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing! And she absolutely loved it, and we decided to walk around a little bit to kind of like, get used to the area a little more, because the next day we were going to be running all over the place at the actual event, going to different authors, and so we were walking around a little bit, and there's the music hall, and then there's the Best Friend Charles Museum, which is where some of the signings were happening, and we were walking, and we were sitting on the steps of the music hall, just talking a little bit, and I look across the street, and I'm like, hey, it's Margaret Stoll. And Ashley, she looks at me, and she looks across the street, she sees Margaret, and Margaret waves at us, and we wave back, and, well, I wave back. Ashley does not wave back, because what she does is she darts off and just books it across the street. She doesn't look, she just runs. She just ran straight for Margaret Stoll. And I followed after looking across the street, and went up to Margaret, and Ashley got a picture with her, and Margaret was so nice, because she was like, oh, do you want a picture? She was like, yes, please. And she just talked to us for a little bit, and we had a good time, and Ashley eventually, she looked at me, she looked back at Margaret, and she was like, I'm sorry, I know you're busy and everything, but could you sign my books for me? And Margaret was like, do you really want me to sign your books? Not like in a, like in a teasing sort of way, because she was loving it, and Margaret, she looked like she was enjoying every second of it, and she was like, yes, please, again. And so she looked at me, she was like, do you have a pen? And I was like, this is the one time I don't have a pen. And Margaret, she was like, oh, well, there's some in there. And so we just walked with her into the Charleston Museum, and she signed Ashley's books for her. She was very, very nice. I don't know Margaret Stoll. I don't know really about anything about her books or anything like that, but she was so nice. I wanted to read her books just because of how nice she was and how cool she was. It was so nice getting to meet her.